Hello and welcome to SaltWire today for Friday, May 5th. I'm your host, Kate Walker. Today marks the National Day of Awareness for missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit people across the country. Here in Halifax, red dresses were hung to symbolize the day at Mount St. Vincent University. The National Inquiry into Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls reported that Indigenous women are 12 times more likely than non-Indigenous women to disappear or be killed, a crisis that has been going on for decades. The red dress symbolizes a call for justice as well as to raise awareness. There are concerns from some residents in Halifax living near construction sites. A 7-story apartment is being built at the corner of Willow and Windsor Streets. The project includes underground parking that requires blasting 2 stories deep into bedrock. Recently, there was a break in the water main running underneath Willow Street in Halifax's West End. The damaged water line sat just a few feet in front of the entrance of the blasting site. There's no confirmation if the break was due to blasting, but some neighbors nearby believe their homes have been damaged since the blasting operation began last month.
We have a new crack opened up by our fireplace and some of the older cracks. It's a lath and plaster house, so it naturally sort of cracks over time, but they look more extensive. So I've taken some careful pictures, and if the blasting continues, I'll be monitoring.
The city and the province's Department of Labor share responsibility for regular blasting in HRM. The city issues permits while the province is supposed to make sure blasting is done safely, but Barton feels left in the dark.
I think I'm concerned that it's too casual. The building, a large building here with 2 stories of underground parking, with it, it's going to require extensive blasting. And I think we're right in the middle of a residential area. A lot of homes are impacted. The community is going to be impacted by this development. And it'd be nice if it was done right.
The permitting process requires the blasting company to submit a blasting plan that includes details about how the company intends to avoid damaging nearby structures and utilities. The permit is signed by a blasting inspector who monitors the operation. SaltWire made a request to the city to speak to the inspector, but was denied. Tomorrow, King Charles, the longest-serving Prince of Wales, will be formally crowned King of the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth realms. Millions of people around the world are expected to watch the historic event, including here in Halifax. The day will start here with a flag-raising ceremony at Government House at 10 a.m. A lottery was set up for seats at Government House for watching TV coverage of the coronation across the pond. And for a post-event analysis, the St. Patrick's Roman Catholic Church and Hall on Brunswick Street in Halifax is hosting a charity event called Afternoon Coronation Tea from 2 to 4 p.m. Organizers encourage participants to bring along their favorite royal souvenirs to share their thoughts on the ceremony while sporting fancy hats and dresses, toasting the new king, and enjoying snacks. Live television coverage starts at 3 a.m. Atlantic time tomorrow. The ceremony starts at 7 a.m. You can watch on the BBC's website. The last coronation was nearly 70 years ago as Queen Elizabeth II was crowned on June 2nd, 1953. Sheldon McLeod will have more from the owner of the Great British Shop coming up later in the newscast. The past few years have seen many local businesses fail to inflation, labor costs, and the fallout from COVID-19. Coastal Café, a Halifax breakfast and coffee restaurant, is next on the chopping block, but for different reasons that the owner is not happy with. Mark Giffen has been serving brunch at the busy cafe for more than 15 years. Now he's been told by the city that his business has to go. The restaurant is just one of the many casualties in the municipality's plans for expanding Robie Street. Widening the road in order to have a bus lane on each side means some buildings have to go.
I've talked to a couple license insolvency trustees, and they're pretty much, yep, you're screwed. You're looking at bankruptcy. Unless you could turn the business around, or sell, or get something from it, you're not in great shape. So I'm actually in a position where I'm wondering if I'm even going to make rent for home.
Taking to social media, Giffen made a post about the restaurant's closing. He received a wave of support and love from past customers that he said was worth more than money.
The outpouring that I've heard is like, yeah, we're a huge part of Halifax in this place, and it's beloved. Like, I think a lot of people almost feel an ownership of it. Like, as someone said, they'd had 800 meals here, they figure.
Giffen says he wants financial compensation, something he believes is reasonable, but more importantly, he wants some empathy from the city. He says he has to be out by the end of the month, and right now there's more questions than answers on where he'll go next. It's time for another edition of Wine of the Week with SaltWire sommelier Mark DeWolf. With sunshine in the weekend forecast, Mark has a fresh white wine for spring entertaining.
Do you like fresh, crisp white wines, but getting a little tired of drinking Pinot Grigio all the time? Great choice from Bishop Cellars is this Antonelli Gracchetto. It's from Umbria in Italy. Fresh, crisp, minerally, zesty. Perfect pairing for spring pastas, antipasto, or a pizza topped with white sauce.
And for more wine recommendations, tips, and interviews, go to the Wine and Dine sections of saltwire.com. It's time now for a glimpse of today's Thinking Out Loud with Sheldon McLeod. Today, Sheldon is speaking with Aaron Armstrong, the owner of the Great British Shop in Bears Lake.
Do people talk about, the relevancy of the monarchy to you? Do they bring that up in any way in conversations?
I think most of the customers coming in are the customers that are very pro-monarchy. They're coming in to celebrate, so they're coming in to get the specific items. There will be a good mix of customers that are going to be coming in that might be just grabbing scones because they want scones. They're hungry. they like the scones. Everything we make is very authentic, so they might just be hungry. But I understand. I understand that it's for me as well. I didn't grow up in a very royal-based family. We weren't big royalists, but an occasion is an occasion. And I think the British, when it comes to these sort of occasions, really do. It's very pompous. It's very in your face. The jingoism is incredible. And it does make you feel really British for this. So I think a lot of people, Charles isn't going to be the Queen. It's never going to be, she is going to be in history forever for what she's done, how she achieved it, the way she achieved it. But I think there's still a lot of excitement for him, for the people that still love all of these things. And I personally, I'm very involved and very biased because it's great for business. But I think it's still a great thing for the UK. I often say that there's a lot of reasons, like the UK, one of the main tourism attractions is the monarchy. And people say the castles will still be there if they go, but I don't think it would have the same impact as it has done. And I think there's still a lot of excitement in and around the royal family.
And for Sheldon's full conversation, head to the opinion section of saltwire.com. Time now for the Atlantic Sports Wire, presented by Scott Squires.
Nico Abeyta is from Arizona by way of New Mexico, but he's in Truro right now playing for the Truro Tide. Nico, how are you enjoying Truro?
I'm enjoying it. I wasn't expecting the cold, but I'm enjoying the weather because right now back at home it'd be at least like 100 plus. So I'm enjoying it.
Tell me about, your childhood growing up. Mentioned that you were born in New Mexico, but just a little bit of background about Nico Abeyta.
So born in Albuquerque, very shortly after I was moved and raised in Tucson, Arizona. Both of those places got a large fandom for college basketball. The UNM and the U of A are both in those cities. So that was where I started, just sitting back and enjoying with my family and watching this game that honestly now I get to play and love, but we all loved.
You're appearing on the Atlantic Sports Wire right now, but you had a little experience checking out the show prior to coming to Canada. Tell me about that story, please.
I'll say most of the information I got about the ECBO was through the Atlantic Sports Wire. The news y'all had, whether it was the Truro tryout or whether it was the fact that Valley was opening up and, you have a quick video there. I enjoyed watching those because that's the only information I could really get and see about what this area is like, who the people that I'd be working with in a professional sense and then in a basketball sense. So, yeah, I watched a few.
Check out my full conversation with Nico by clicking on the video tab at saltwire.com and by watching us on our SaltWire YouTube channel. And while you're on our YouTube channel, make sure you like the video and subscribe. In Halifax, I'm Scott Squires for the Atlantic Sports Wire.
Thank you, Scott. On to weather now. To see what's coming up in the weekend forecast, we're going to check in now with our weather specialist, Alistair Alders.
Happy Friday, Kate. Well, it was a cloudy and cool start to our day, but clouds did clear to sunshine this afternoon, and we do have warmer temperatures and brighter skies in the weekend forecast. This evening, partly cloudy with the temperature near 5 degrees, and if you're heading out the door first thing on Saturday morning, do bundle up. We'll start the day near 2 degrees, but mainly sunny, and mainly sunny throughout the day on our Saturday with a high of 15 degrees. North winds will gust 20 to 40 kilometers per hour, so that northerly component means really most of HRM will climb up to at least 15 degrees. And then on Sunday, we're looking at a mix of sun and cloud, but more of a contrast in temperature. I am expecting a high of 20 degrees, but that will likely be the closer you are to the airport, so lower Sackville, Fall River out to the airport. In the city itself, likely closer to 15, and then along the coast, 9 degrees. This is thanks to a southwest wind that will gust 10 to 20 kilometers per hour. We do have a chance of showers to start next week, but otherwise, fair weather for much of next week with temperatures bumping down to start the week, but then gradually recovering through next week. So after this damp start to the month, looks like we do have brighter skies for the second week of May. Have a great weekend. Kate.
Thank you, Alistair. We leave you today from the red carpet at the East Coast Music Awards last night here in Halifax. Events and awards will continue right through the weekend. I'm your host, Kate Walker. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you back here Monday.